Hey everybody, this is Phil Holoka from Complete Captive Management Services, and today we wrap up the three-part series on exit strategy with a conversation about golden handcuffs. So what are golden handcuffs? Well, it's a term used that your business decision, your purchasing decision, is based on something that will or will not occur in the future. So in other words, I'm a business, and if I buy this, I get that. Now that sounds like a simple, service transaction, but there's a little bit more. It's almost like a quid pro quo, because with group captives, it is very common that if an employer or a business is a participant in a group captive, and they decide to leave the group captive, they will forfeit a portion or all of their unearned underwriting profits earned from prior years. So this is an example. Let's assume it's 2023 and your current premium paid to the fronting carrier is $200,000. And then at renewal, the fronting carrier says, hey, your new premium for 2024 is going to be $215,000. And you think to yourself, well, that's pretty good. It's less than 10%. And I'm normally happy if my renewal is less than 10%. Okay? So this on the surface looks like a good renewal. But then the captive manager or the captive program manager says, hey, look, you've got $50,000 of underwriting profits. If you renew at $215,000, we're going to give you 50 grand. That sounds like a good deal, right? Well, it may or may not be, because you tell your insurance consultant, I want to test this 250 to be the right number. Can you go out to the market and see if you can get me 3 different carrier proposals for a policy that's identical to this? And let's talk about what comes back. So your consultant gets you 3 different proposals ranging from $190,000, $192,000 to $195,000. And you look at these two and you say, that's pretty close. So something's right. They're thinking the same thing. But this one here, boy, this carrier probably really wants to buy the business. There's a delta between this number and this number of $33,000. That's about 12% of this renewal. Okay? So what's the opportunity cost? What's the decision-making process look like? Well, on the surface, don't be that guy and just say, hey, Mr. Client, $50,000 is what you're going to lose. Now, what you're going to gain is a savings of $33,000. Well, that's only $17,000. You're going to be negative $17,000. Well, that's the simple way. That's not the way we do things. We do them the more complex way. The more complex way involves calculating the internal rate of return for the business. So the complex way is $50,000 is the dividend that the captive is going to give the insured. Well, the insured's not going to get $50,000. The net is $39,000 because you got to give the IRS 21% of this $50,000. Okay, so you got to think of that. The internal rate of return, if the corporation now has access to $33,000, that corporation is going to say, I'm going to invest that $33,000 into some equity, property, plant, and equipment. And that property, plant, and equipment has a return on investment. Let's assume for a second that investment is 15%. So that means they're going to gain an extra $4,950, okay, based on a $33,000 investment. Now this is a little bit low, but for this discussion, let's roll with it. So now the final calculation is $39,500, which is the net tax, net after tax. $33,000 is the cash savings. So you're really only netting $6,500 of savings. That's probably enough to make the decision. But then you've got to say, if I don't have that $33,000, I won't be able to buy that big printer that I want, which will have a return on investment. And I've identified that return on investment to be $4,900. So now you got to back out the $4,900. So the net savings by making the decision to stay with the captive is $1,550. On the surface, that's probably a good investment to stay with the captive. However, what if the corporation already has an internal rate of return value of 20%? If this number is 20, this number is not going to be a good deal. Okay? So just think about this. The takeaway message is, just because the delta between here is less than what you're going to get, the quid pro quo, there's more to the calculation than meets the eye. Okay? Hope this was helpful for you. Next week is viewer's choice.